The Crucifixion of Jacopo Tintoretto is a monumental canvas located in the hall of the Abbey of Saint-Tropez. The multi-figured composition is completely subordinated to the peculiarities of the hall's architecture. The base of the cross with the crucified Savior is visible upon entering, surrounded by a group of people immersed in grief. As visitors move forward, more and more characters are revealed in the huge picture. The canvas is illuminated by two strong light streams from the tall windows on either side, generating a play of colors and creating the illusion of animated figures.
Welcome to this video about the painting Mistress and Maid by Jan Vermeer. This painting was created in 1667 and is currently exhibited in a museum. Vermeer tried to convey the emotions of excitement and a heated discussion of some important letter between two women, the mistress and the maid. The composition creates a sense of dynamics, presenting a lively dialogue between the two women. Through this painting, Vermeer presents a tense psychological scene that captures the viewer's attention.
In this painting, we see a young woman leaning her head against a child, both of them sleeping peacefully. However, the idyllic scene is disrupted by the presence of an old, hunchbacked woman, symbolizing the transience of youth and beauty. This painting is a representation of the three stages of a woman's life: youth, motherhood, and old age. Created in 1905, it is on display in a museum.
Welcome to the world of art lovers. Today, we are going to talk about one of the most famous paintings of the outstanding master of the High Renaissance, Giorgione, Sleeping Venus. This painting is an amazing thing, but it combines the writing of several masters. It is known that Giorgione began the painting in the year 1510, but unfortunately, he could not finish the work due to the plague that claimed the lives of many Europeans. At the age of 33 to 32 years, the artist died, falling another victim of the Black Death. The painting depicts a beautiful woman, Venus, sleeping on a bed of white sheets. The painting is a masterpiece of Renaissance art and is exhibited in a museum. Thank you for watching.
The painting depicts a couple, with the man appearing tense and the woman lost in thought. The focus is on their hands, which are meticulously painted with bright colors and exaggerated proportions. The artist uses various techniques, including fingers, needles, and palms, to create a nervous atmosphere. The background is designed in opposite colors, adding energy and drama to the work. Painted in 1909, the painting is exhibited in a museum.
In this picture, we see Jesus carrying a massive cross, tired and exhausted, anticipating his imminent death. Despite the tragedy of the plot, the artist's love for his work is evident in the graceful lines of the drapery of Christ's light tunic, the beautiful golden wood of the cross, and the neatly written crown of thorns on Jesus' head. The hand holding the cross is particularly impressive. The picture exudes grace and beauty despite the suffering depicted.
In the painting Zolotoy Please, II Levitan depicts the slope of the Volga bank illuminated by golden sunlight. The canvas depicts the sunset of summer, with the sun already setting and its rays brightly illuminating the surface of the river. The water seems like liquid gold due to the presence of sunlight on its surface. The painting showcases the natural strength and power of the Volga, making it seem endless. The canvas is filled with peace and tranquility, evoking pleasant memories from childhood. The author realistically depicts the entire palette of the summer sunset and the diverse beauties of summer nature.
The Night Watch by Rembrandt Harmens van Rijn is one of the most famous paintings in the history of art. Despite its long-suffering history, it remains a masterpiece and an object of pilgrimage for art lovers. The painting was originally intended to depict a scene in broad daylight, but due to a layer of soot, it got its dark name. The canvas was also trimmed horizontally and vertically, and it suffered from inept restorations. In 1990, a mentally ill visitor to the Rijksmuseum splashed acid on the picture, causing further damage. Despite all of this, the Night Watch remains a testament to Rembrandt's skill and artistry, and it continues to captivate audiences to this day.
In this picture, Alexander Golyov depicts his family decorating a beautiful, large, and lush Christmas tree. The artist himself is shown sitting behind a sheet of drawing paper, creating another masterpiece, while his wife, daughter, and son hang lanterns, garlands, flags, serpentine, and other New Year's paraphernalia on the tree. The toys on the tree are not spelled out too clearly, but a big Santa Claus can be seen at the top, and glass toys hang on clothespins attached to a special crocodile located below. The tree is also adorned with tinsel and flags, which were a popular decoration of the time. Flags were hung not only on Christmas trees, but also in a room under the ceiling, and there could be a non-New Year's theme depicted there, but this did not bother anyone. The painting, Parade on Red Square by Konstantin Makovsky depicts a military parade taking place on Red Square in honor of the Day of the Revolution during a time when the enemy was close to the capital. The painting shows tanks, weapons, soldiers, officers, and people's militias going to the front to defend the motherland and save their families. The image is devoid of external emotionality but tells much about the tragedy and strength of the people during this terrible period for the country. In this painting, Levitan portrays a narrow river with high steep banks that leads the viewer's gaze to the horizon, through the autumn forest to barely noticeable fields and village houses. The sky is reflected in the dark, calm waters, but at the same time, it is not calm in autumn and light, which is an uncharacteristic element for Levitan. The point of view is chosen very well, allowing for a wide panoramic composition with many elements. Although the details on the canvas are unevenly distributed, the left side is more loaded. Levitan correctly arranged and grouped all the elements of the landscape, resulting in a balanced and harmonious composition.
In this painting, we see a group of people gathered around a magician who is performing a trick. The magician appears to be extracting a frog from the mouth of one of the spectators, much to the delight and surprise of the crowd. However, upon closer inspection, we can see that many of the people in the painting are not just watching the trick, but are also peculiar symbols. For example, a man in monastic clothes stands behind the test subject and steals a wallet from his pocket. Another man standing next to a woman sees the deception and points to the magician's accomplice. Even the child in the painting is laughing at the gullible onlooker. All of these details suggest the artist's contemptuous attitude towards the naivety of ordinary people. The painting also references a Dutch proverb, which suggests that people who believe in tricks waste money and become a laughingstock even for children. Overall, this painting is a fascinating commentary on human nature and the power of deception.
This portrait was painted by Valentin Serev in 1909 and is titled Portrait of Prince Yusupov. The painting depicts Prince Felix Yusupov, a member of one of the wealthiest and most influential families in Russia at the time. Serev was known for his ability to capture the personality and character of his subjects, and this portrait is no exception. The prince is depicted in a regal pose, with a stern expression on his face. The painting is currently exhibited at the Palace of Congresses in St. Petersburg. This painting depicts a peasant woman named Pelagia holding a scythe and rake. She is dressed in traditional peasant clothing and is standing in a field with a blue sky and mountains in the background. The painting is a representation of the hard work and labor that peasants had to endure in order to survive. It is a tribute to the strength and resilience of the working class, and a reminder of the importance of their contributions to society.
In this painting, Tatiana Yablonskaya depicts a scene of village women collecting threshed and winnowed grain in bags on the threshing floor. The background features a huge stack that blocks the horizon, creating a sense of intimacy on the canvas. The stack serves as a background for everything that happens on different planes. The women are strong, tanned, and ruddy, and are cleanly and elegantly dressed. The artist later admitted that she specially dressed up her characters in more festive clothes in order to give the canvas joy and picturesqueness. Although at first glance, it may not be apparent, Ukrainian folk motifs are clearly visible in the outfits of the peasant women, leading to criticism of nationalist inclinations. This painting is exhibited in a museum.
In 1951, American painter Jackson Pollock created a masterpiece titled Six Purple, Green, and Red. This painting is an example of Pollock's signature drip painting technique, where he would drip and pour paint onto the canvas, creating intricate and abstract patterns. The painting is dominated by shades of purple, green, and red, with thin white lines cutting through the colors. Six Purple, Green, and Red is considered one of Pollock's most important works and is currently housed in a private collection.
The painting Weeping Spider was created by the French artist Odilon Redon in 1881. It is a striking image of a spider with tears streaming down its face, set against a dark background. Redon was known for his use of vivid colors and imaginative subjects, and this painting is a prime example of his unique style. Weeping Spider is currently held in a private collection, but it has been exhibited in various museums and galleries around the world. It is considered one of Redon's most iconic works and a masterpiece of symbolism.
In this picture, Isaac Levitan was the first to successfully capture the breadth of Russian bad weather. The storm is intensified through the use of compositional and pictorial techniques. The main tone is heavy and cold red shades, with warm tones muted. Chaotic grass and sawdust are depicted through wide strokes, giving the impression of being driven by an incomprehensible wind. Birch trees are depicted using almost black and light gray shades. The elongation and bending of the trees make the picture appear like a panorama. The painting is exhibited at the Radishchev Museum in Saratov.
Welcome to the Trinity-Sergius Lavra, the largest stronghold of Russian Orthodoxy. This monastery was founded in the 14th century in Sergiy Posad and has a rich history. It played a significant role in the struggle against the Tatar yoke, opposed the Poles during the time of troubles, and supported Peter I during his struggle with Princess Sophia. The Lavra contains the relics of Sergius of Raidenez and other saints, and on its territory, you can find the necropolis of the Godunov family and the burials of other important figures for Russian history. This painting, created in the year 1800 by Fyodor Alexeyev, depicts the grandeur and beauty of the Trinity-Sergius Lavra. It is now exhibited in a museum, where visitors can admire its intricate details and learn more about the history of this magnificent monastery. In 1905, Pablo Picasso painted a portrait of a young boy holding a pipe. The painting, titled Boy with a Pipe, is one of Picasso's most famous works and is known for its use of vibrant colors and bold brushstrokes. The boy in the painting is believed to be a local from the Montmartre neighborhood in Paris, where Picasso lived and worked at the time. The painting was sold at auction in 2004 for a record-breaking $104 million, making it one of the most expensive paintings ever sold. Welcome to this video about the painting Polovtsian Dances by Alexander Gerasimov. The painting is based on the plot of the opera Prince Igor by the Russian composer A.P. Borodin. Gerasimov used warm colors with an abundance of bright, saturated shades of yellow, red, orange, and green to create an expressive and interesting work. The painting is quite musical and rhythmic. Gerasimov wanted to convey not only his love for the theater but also to capture historical events on the canvas, thus leaving his imprint on the property of the people. The painting is included in a private collection and is stored in Moscow. Thank you for watching.
This small painting by Konstantin Makovsky bears a clear imprint of Impressionism. The flowers in the girl's wreath, her clothes, and jewelry are made in an impressionistic style. However, her face is spelled out very carefully, with thin, delicate skin, fresh young blush, and transparent blue eyes. The artist paid all his attention to her face. Makovsky has many portraits of Russian beauties, mostly in lush, even pretentious outfits of the pre-Petrine era. However, in this case, the picture depicts a young girl in a wreath of simple wildflowers. She wears discreet clothes and modest jewelry in the form of multicolored beads. This makes her strikingly different from the rest of the ceremonial portraits of beauties by this artist.
In this painting, Vasily Perov depicts a seamstress in a realistic and romantic style. The girl is shown at work, but the artist also captures her character, nature, and inner world, which was unusual for paintings depicting serf workers at the time. The genre portrait was a new trend, and Troponin's work stood out because he depicted people who were busy with something. The girl in the painting is working on some clothes or fabric, and her hands are frozen with a needle and thread. However, she is not frightened or irritated by being distracted. On the contrary, interest is read in her eyes as she turns her head towards the viewer. This painting is a beautiful example of Troponin's ability to capture the essence of his subjects and convey their emotions through his art.
Welcome to this video about the painting Miraculous Catch by Anton Losenko. This painting is based on the biblical parable of the miracles of the Lord on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. It depicts Jesus Christ in the center of the composition, standing on the seashore in a boat, watching the people pulling a net of fish out of the water. The work is hard and beautiful, and they caught so many fish to feed their families. A woman and a child take part in this activity, helping the men in their work. Catherine II acquired this canvas for the Imperial Hermitage, and it has received high public recognition. Jesus stands out from others with the color of his clothes and the golden glow around his head. His wise and calm gaze radiates goodness, love for humanity, and body. Thank you for watching this video about Miraculous Catch.
Red Sunset, also known as Red Sunset on the Dnieper, is a painting by Arkady Plastov. It showcases a river landscape in the artist's later style. The painting captures a vast, large-scale view of the river valley during sunset, when the sun paints everything with a magical reddish-gold color. The painting is exhibited in a museum.
Welcome to this video about the beautiful painting Still Life by Ivan Krutsky. This painting is a true masterpiece that will captivate you with its magical fairy tale palette. The canvas is filled with an abundance of flowers, fruits, and berries, creating a unique personality. Krutsky's imagination and subtle sense of nature are evident in this painting. He saw the beauty and harmony in the world around him, noticing every pattern. In the center of the picture, you can see a vase with a luxurious bouquet of peonies, roses, irises, lilies, daffodils, tulips, asters, lilac twigs, and ears of corn. This bouquet is the king of summer and stands out among other objects with its bright colors. Nearby, you can see a wicker basket with appetizing peaches and grapes shining with juice. The room is filled with an extraordinary aroma of nature. To the right of the vase, on a scarlet stand, you can see a glass of clean, clear water, a decanter, and a cork lying from it. This painting is a true representation of Krutsky's great imagination and his ability to see the beauty in the world around him. Thank you for watching.
The painting Princess of Dreams by Mikhail Vrubel depicts a dying prince lying on the deck of a ship, covered with a cloak. He has dark brown hair framing his emaciated face, and long, thin fingers quietly finger the strings of the lute, playing a soft song. The first rays of the sun lie in golden highlights on thick brown hair of a beautiful maiden who is leaning on the side of the sailboat, listening to the music fascinated. She has large blue eyes on a lovely pale face and is peering at Rudel with tenderness and anxiety. The painting is set against a light ash-pink haze that slowly melts, revealing the azure sky with golden solar flashes playing in the sky. A fresh wind fills the sails of the ship. The painting is a masterpiece of the artist and is exhibited in a museum. The painting Suicide by Edouard Manet depicts a man hanging from a rope in a stark and haunting manner. The painting was created in 1877 and is part of the collection of the Emil Berle Foundation in Zurich. There are two versions of what inspired the artist to create this picture. Some believe it was the suicide by hanging of his assistant Alexander, while others think it was an article by Emile Zola about the suicide of Jules Halsapfel in 1866. Regardless of the inspiration, the painting is a powerful and emotional representation of the act of suicide.
The painting Hot Summer Day by Fyodor Vasiliev depicts a beautiful summer day in the countryside. The artist used bright and saturated colors, mainly green and yellow shades, to capture the flowering vegetation. The gentle blue sky and central shadow balance the composition. The crowns of distant trees are depicted with a transitional color between green and blue, giving them a light and airy appearance. This painting is a celebration of nature and its connection with humanity, reflecting Vasiliev's joyful and pleasant impressions of life in the village.
The painting Reading the Regulations by Grigory Myasodov depicts a group of peasants gathered in a hay-drying shed to listen to the decree of Emperor Alexander II on land reform. The scene is half dark, but sunlight penetrates from above, illuminating the group and the boy reading the manifesto. A young guy in a white shirt leans forward attentively and hopefully, while older and wiser men show a certain distrust and doubt. The pose of the peasant standing on the left, with his hands folded on his stomach, causes a feeling of fatigue and hopelessness. The painting was created in 1873 and is exhibited in a museum.
In May 1888, Van Gogh acquired a small studio in Arles, in the south of France, where he fled from Parisian artists and critics who did not understand him. In one of the 4 rooms, Vincent sets up a bedroom. In October, everything is ready, and he decides to paint Van Gogh's bedroom in Arles. For the artist, the color, comfort of the room was very important. Everything had to be suggestive of rest. At the same time, the picture is designed in alarming yellow tones. Researchers of Van Gogh's work explain this by the fact that the artist took digitalis remedy for epilepsy, which causes serious changes in the patient's perception of color. The whole surrounding reality is painted in green-yellow tones.
The painting, Homeland, by Apollinaire Vasnetsov depicts a magnificent panorama of the Russian plain in the Vyatka province. The wide plains, dense protected forests, and transparent lakes of his small homeland served as a source of inspiration for Vasnetsov throughout his life. The painting shows a summer day with gloomy, ash-gray clouds floating low above the ground, tightening the high sky. Light blue azure is still visible through the gaps, and at the very horizon, fluffy pearl lilac and white cloud caps glow slightly.
In 1884, a shipwreck occurred off the coast of a small island. The ship was carrying a valuable cargo of spices and silk. The crew managed to make it to shore, but the ship and its cargo were lost to the sea. The locals on the island were able to salvage some of the goods that washed ashore, which helped to boost their economy. Today, the shipwreck remains a popular spot for divers and tourists to explore.
This painting by Arkady Plastov depicts an ordinary scene of people bathing their horses in a river. The color scheme is dominated by cold colors such as blue and beige pink, with small reflections of sunlight. The painting exudes a sense of health and happiness, with people's cheeks filled with bright blush and white teeth sparkling with a sincere smile. The work belongs to the style of social realism, which reflects life as it is, natural and without pretense. The painting is exhibited in a museum. This painting by Albert Marquet depicts the port of Saint-Tropez in 1905. The painting is divided into 4 parts, alternating between dark and light colors. The dark platforms of the harbor, the blue water of the sea, the dark yellow buildings, and the blue sky are all separated by conditional parallel lines, which is characteristic of the modernist style. The painting shows several ships in the port, with their masts creating cross lines with images of houses. Some vessels are larger, while others are very tiny, similar to simple fishing boats. In the distance, you can see a tall structure that resembles a church, which is a typical element of European urban architecture.
Vasily Kandinsky's Composition 7 is a masterpiece of abstract art. Kandinsky was a late bloomer, only seriously pursuing painting at the age of 37. He was inspired by Claude Monet's painting of a haystack, which made him realize how an uninteresting object can amaze the imagination with the radiance of light. Kandinsky was also influenced by the music of Richard Wagner and Alexander Scriabin, which led him to create his own compositions. Kandinsky's innovation lies in his ability to go beyond the objective world and prove that a whirlwind of colors, lines, and dots can affect the subconscious of the viewer as strongly as an image that conveys real objects. Composition 7 is a plastic form that does not depict any trees, houses, or people. It is a groundbreaking work that freed painting from the influence of objects and paved the way for abstract art.
The Eritrean Sibyl is a masterpiece by Michelangelo Buonarroti, created between 1508 and 1512. The sculpture depicts a somewhat masculine woman with a graceful head and beautiful features, but powerful muscles in her arms and strong calves. She sits with her leg thrown over her leg, freely lowering one hand along the body, and the other leafing through a book. The Eritrean Sibyl has a complex hairstyle of various braids and weaves, a focused expression on her face, and lush, layered and multicolored outfits. This sculpture is a typical Michelangelo style and is exhibited in a museum.
In this painting by Theodor Kittelsen, we see the palace of Soria Moria shimmering like gold in the distance. The painting is based on a Norwegian fairy tale about two brothers who set out on a journey to find the palace. The palace is said to be made of gold and silver, and is guarded by a troll. The painting captures the magical and mystical atmosphere of the fairy tale, with the palace appearing almost otherworldly in its beauty. Kittelsen was a Norwegian painter and book illustrator, known for his illustrations of fairy tales and folklore. He was a prominent figure in the Norwegian art scene in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Rafts is a landscape painting created by Alexei Savrasov in 1868. It depicts a serene river scene with rafts floating on the water. Savrasov was a mature artist at the time and had developed his own unique style that combined the everyday and the beautiful. He was inspired by the nature of England and Switzerland, but this painting captures the peculiar beauty of his homeland. The canvas is made in oil on canvas and is a great example of Savrasov's favorite genre, landscape painting.
The painting depicts the legend of Paganini, the famous Italian composer and violinist. According to the legend, Paganini sold his soul to the devil in exchange for his extraordinary musical talent. The painting shows Paganini lying on his deathbed, surrounded by his admirers and a mysterious figure, possibly representing the devil. The dark and dramatic atmosphere of the painting reflects the haunting nature of the legend. The artist, Edward Oken, was known for his depictions of historical and mythological subjects. In this painting, we see the majestic Mount Elbrus in the distance, with its white peak touching the sky. The mountain is a symbol of perspective, as it offers a view of the entire area. The blue rocks below the snow-cap contrast with the areas in the foreground, which are overgrown with grass weakened from height, alternating with bare ground. The wavy clouds floating in front of the mountain add to the painting's beauty. The gray peak of Elbrus hints that the painter will soon grow old, but his talent will remain just as significant and powerful. This painting was created by Nikolai Yeroshenko in 1884 and is exhibited in a museum.
The painting, Bauble Guitarist, by Vasily Perov depicts a man wrapped in a sheepskin coat, playing a guitar in a simple and empty room. The lack of heating and poverty of the bauble is evident from the character's cold appearance, even though he is indoors. The emptiness in the room also indicates loneliness and soulful emptiness, which can only be filled by the sounds of the guitar. Perov drew attention to the problem of general drunkenness in Russia by portraying such a character. This issue became especially relevant after 1863, when Alexander II abolished the state monopoly on the production of alcohol, making it cheaper and more affordable. This led to the rapid degradation of the population, which is reflected in the painting.
This painting by Luis Melendez depicts a plate of greenish-yellow pears with pinkish barrels and cherry branches inserted with ripe glossy fruits hanging on them. The surface of the pears has a slight spilled sheen, while the cherries seem to be varnished. This creates a pleasant play of textures, which is set off by the dullness of dried leaves on the branches. The artist has placed different fruits all over the countertop, which adds to the complexity of the painting. If all the fruits were located in the center of the canvas, it would give the impression of simple student work. This painting is exhibited in a museum.